When you're running web servers, you see requests for things like sensitive files, you see attempts to exploit parts of your application, and one thing you can do about that is run a program like Fail2Ban that automatically sets firewall rules for you to ban those host IP addresses. If you've been browsing forums online, you may have seen talk about how Fail2Ban is not necessary if you're using public key authentication. Well, one of the points that I want to make in this video is that Fail2Ban is useful for more than just mitigating SSH brute force attacks. You can write your own custom expressions to match something that you're seeing in your logs that you don't like. It could be any of the logs on your system. That will then be used to ban the corresponding host IP address. So in this video, I'm going to cover the installation. We're going to go over how to modify the SSH daemon jail, and then after that, we'll move on to how you can customize something for yourself. I'm going to start by updating the package list and then installing the Fail2Ban package. So as it's installing, a unit file is created so that you're going to have a Fail2Ban service. It'll be enabled, it'll be running, and if you reboot your server, then the Fail2Ban service will continue to run. Just allow that to finish. So there it is. The Fail2Ban configuration files are in etc Fail2Ban. So in here you see a number of files and directories like action.d, filter.d, jail.d, jail.conf. In Fail2Ban, there are jails, and it's in the jails that you would configure what log files you want to monitor, what filter you want to use, how long you want to ban for, how many failures are acceptable, that sort of thing. And those jails make use of actions like banning or sending an email and filters that are used to match what it is in the log files that's, say, malicious and that you want to ban over. And there are a number of at least partially defined jails already in jail.conf, one of those being SSHD, the SSH daemon jail, and you can get a status on that by using the Fail2Ban client command. Fail2Ban client command is used to configure the server, but it tells you what jails are active, what the status of those jails are. You can query for what the particular settings are at the moment. So for instance, if you were to run like Fail2Ban client status, you'd see the jail list at the bottom. I have one jail right now, it's a SSHD jail. If I was to take it a step further and say Fail2Ban client status SSHD, then I'm going to see that currently, towards the bottom there, third from the bottom, currently I have 6 banned, and there's the list there at the bottom as well. But you can also use it to get, say Fail2Ban client get SSHD max retry. You can get the values of settings in the jail as well. So whenever we get to the part where we're customizing one, I'll show you more about how you can do that. For right now, I'm just going to clear this out. I mentioned that there are some jail definitions started in jail.conf. There are also some global defaults in there as well. So we'll take a look at that next. So just below my cursor here, there's ban time and find time, max retry. The find time would be like the window of time. If you're allowing 3 failures or violations within a certain amount of time, that certain amount of time would be the find time. Max retry would be like saying we're going to allow this to happen up to 5 times. So for example, if there were 5 failures within 10 minutes, we'd be banning for 10 minutes. These are the defaults. You can override the defaults. So if there's a jail that exists already, like the SSHD jail, and you want to override any of those settings, you could create your own jail and override those settings. But I'll give you a couple of options about how you might do that. Or when you create your own jails completely separate, maybe that don't exist at all in here, then you can set all these settings on your own in those jails. So here, so you have the jail.conf file. You wouldn't want to just make changes in that file. You could make a copy and say jail.local, or you can go within jail.d and add configuration files within there. there is an order in which the configuration files are parsed. If we copied jail.conf and called it jail.local, the settings in there would override the global defaults because .local files are read after .conf files. And .conf files in jail.d are read after the ones in the parent directory. As a matter of preference, I keep my jail separate in jail.d and I end them in .local. But you could just copy jail.conf to jail.local and put your jail definitions in there. That's just fine. Okay, so now we're going to override the default SSHD jail configuration, and we're going to do that by creating a file within jail.d. So move over there. Right now I just have a default file in there. I'm going to copy over something that I prepared ahead of time. So we have an sshd.local file. Again, the .local file is parsed after .conf, plus this is positioned within jail.d, so we're definitely going to override the default configuration. But just to take a look inside that file, we have sshd at the top between brackets. That's the jail name, and you would put that right there at the top. I have enabled equals true. I realize that it's already enabled somewhere else, but just in my own files for good measure, I include that setting. We've dropped down max retry from 5 to 3 here. So if there are 3 failed authentication attempts within 1 hour, we're going to ban for a week. It may seem excessive to ban for a week because maybe you would accumulate a lot of IP addresses. Maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. You just have to keep your eye on it. If it is, it could have an effect on performance. So you might consider using the incremental banning, which would punish the repeat offenders more than the one-offs. That way you don't have this long list of banned IP addresses, some of which are just like hosts that tried one time and never again. So we're more concerned with the ones that keep trying. So at any rate, I don't have to save this file because I just copied it over. So I'm just going to quit that there. So we still have a file here. Anytime you change a jail configuration, you're going to have to reload that jail. So the way I could do that would be the Fail2Ban client reload SSHD, just like that. In the second line of output, it says, okay, that's good. Also have this warning over here. Just going to copy that. Should be fine, but if you would like to confirm, we did have the default max retry of 5, and that should be 3 now. Client get SSHD max retry. So you'd run Fail2Ban client get jail name setting name. It is 3. So that's good. Back out to Fail2Ban directory. Second from the left there, it says fail2ban.conf. So the way you could resolve this warning would be to create a fail2ban.local file. Just so I can see what I need to do here. So I'm going to put default at the top. Allow IPv6. All right, so just 1 second. All right. Right quit. So let's see here. We reloaded it, but then we had the warning. We have to reload. You could just, instead of reloading a specific jail, you can reload the entire configuration here, so that we should resolve the warning if that's the case. If we have not, then we would see the warning again, but we just do Fail2Ban client reload, and it says okay now. So we're good to go here. You can use Fail2Ban to monitor other things as well. Say you're running a web server and you have Nginx in there, or Apache, then you're going to have access logs. If you look at those access logs, you're probably going to see requests for sensitive files like env files or something else like that. If you don't ban these hosts that keep trying to find something, then they might get lucky one day. I mean, if you did have a misconfiguration, or you made a mistake somewhere, or you left something that you didn't remove, a file or something like that, they might be able to exploit something at some point. So it'd be good to create something that's going to stop them from trying. You can create your own custom jail. And in that custom jail, you could include a filter. A filter would consist of a regular expression. So it's just like it's an expression that you're using to match something that you're seeing in your log files. So we're just going to take the example of an env file. Yes, it could be more than just env. It could be env like .env .production or dev.env or whatever. They can come in a variety of names, but you'd see that the ones that request env also request all those other files. So what we can do is we can create that filter. That filter would be used by Fail2Ban to match those requests in the log files and then ban the hosts that are trying to make those requests. I mean, I can show you just from today, if I was to grep like .env from, let's see, var log. There's several here. Some from the same, originating from the same IP address. So I don't like this. I'd rather them not be able to do this repeatedly. So we're going to create a filter, and then we'll move on to configuring a jail. But I'll show you how you can write an expression in your own filter that you can make use in your own jails. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create a filter, and that filter is specifically for matching requests for files named .env. It's just an example, just to show us how we could create a filter, not trying to write something that matches every possible env file. If you look at the contents of etc Fail2Ban, you'll see a directory named filter.d. I'm going to go into there and show you that there are lots of filters in here already. So this is where you would put yours. I'm going to copy in something here that I've already prepared and then show you what's inside of that. Kind of like if you were configuring a jail, and if you recall, between brackets you'd put the jail name. Well, here we can just put definition, and below that you have fail regex equals followed by your regular expression. I'm going to just grab us a sample from one of the log files. So that we can use, so we can actually like look at a line from the log file and look at a regular expression to talk about why we wrote it the way that we wrote it. All of my lines in my log files are starting with IP addresses. You might have host names. You could have host names at least. So you'd see online in some of these filters it might say, instead of like here, I have it that the line should start with ADDR as an IP address. You could put host here, and that'd be fine too. Because that would work for most host names and IP addresses, but I just use ADDR myself because everything in my log is starting with an IP address. So that's how I'm saying that the line should start with ADDR. And I'm going to be explicit here. Like, I'm putting exactly the characters that are in these lines because while you could use a wildcard, it's not as performant. Just keep in mind that Fail2Ban's running constantly. It's monitoring whatever it is that you're telling it to monitor. It's looking at every single line and trying to match a pattern here. So I'm just going to be really clear about what it is I'm looking for, and then that'll be run more efficiently. So after the IP address, I'm putting the exact characters here, except that I don't have the date in here. Like, I have the brackets for where the date would be, but it looks like I'm escaping it. That's because Fail2Ban, at least the way Fail2Ban works, is it's going to recognize this date pattern and it's going to remove it before it actually tries to do the match. So we don't need to write something that would match a date pattern. Fail2Ban built in can already match common date patterns. So all we really have to do here is escape those brackets and move on to what it is after the date that we are trying to match. I'm stopping here at the end of the file name that I'm looking for. You don't have to also match like user agents and stuff like that. You can write something that just matches the file names maybe that you're looking for. So here I have, well, they're always quotes, and then get request for .env. The dot in .env is a special character, so I'm escaping that. Not gonna try to like explain regular expressions too much here. But I just am going to at least explain what I have. So just escaping the env, and then I want it should have a space character after .env because I'm looking specifically for .env files, not .env something else or .env some other characters. And so that's what I have in my filter here. And this is a filter that we'll use in the jail that we're going to configure to try to stop these hosts from reading our sensitive files. Just a side note here, just going to say that Fail2Ban is a very powerful and flexible tool. It's great. I love it. I use it on all my servers as just another additional something that I can do to stop something that I don't like. Like I said earlier, if you see something in your logs that doesn't look good to you, you don't want some person or some machine to do something that's doing, you can ban them, and they will be banned at least until they're no longer banned, and then if they try again, they'll be banned again. But just that, it's not a silver bullet, and it's something that's used along with other things. Like you have the basics, right? You got file permissions and ownership, and does this file even belong here to begin with? Maybe it shouldn't even be in here. Just all other things to keep in mind. And I realized that, files aren't always called .env. It might be .env, .production, production.env, prod.env, .env.prod, and development, and test, and other things that are not production servers that may have credentials, reused credentials even, that sort of thing. I get it. Just trying to show how you can use a filter, and then we'll be moving on to our custom jail. Okay, let's go ahead and clean this up and back up a directory here. So we have a filter now, but we need to test it out. There are some online tools that you could use to help you write a regular expression, but they're not specifically for Fail2Ban. So they don't recognize all the Fail2Ban syntax. Fortunately for us, we have something built in that is the Fail2Ban regex command. And using that command, you can test out your filter and see all the lines that are matching and all the lines that are not matching. Especially useful is that second one, because if you're trying to match something in your log files and you look at the ones that aren't matching and you're seeing something there, then you know that you need to make an adjustment. So what you would do is you would run the command followed by the name of the log file or log files, and then followed by the filter name. So here we have, put a dash there, Fail2Ban dash regex. Here's my log file. I'm going to use this log file here, followed by the name of the filter. The file name is envfile.conf. You don't need to include the .conf. It knows what you're talking about, so you can just put envfile. So here under results, I'm seeing 10. It's just giving me the number of results and some other information here. If you want to actually see what's matching, then you have to use one of those options. So then down below, you can see all the lines that are matching. That's good. We at least know it's working. Is it working the way you're expecting it to, or is it including everything you're hoping that it will include? Now, we're looking for something very simple here. It's not a very complicated pattern that we're writing, or we're not trying to do anything too sophisticated, so probably not going to see anything if we print all missed, but it does come in handy if you are doing that. So you could do, if I run this, I'm probably going to see a lot of lines. So I'm going to move down here, make sure I have this right, just filter out .env, but all I'm seeing here is our regex. So nothing's showing up here, but there might have been something there. And then all you'd have to do is you could go into envfile.conf and edit it there. Or another way to do this, let me see if I back it up enough. Instead of putting env file, you could just have within a string, you put your pattern right there, and then you could just kind of run it, test it, adjust it, test it, adjust it, test it, and iterate upon it until you're done, until you're happy with it. That's a quick way of iterating on this, is just by putting the regex right here, and that works as well. Or you could just edit the file, and you could do it that way too. So I'll go ahead and clean this up and move on to configuring our custom jail. Just like when we were working on the SSHD jail, we're going to create a configuration file or add a configuration file within jail.d. So we'll copy something over here. We'll take a look at what's inside. I'm calling it envfile.local. I'm just sticking with the env file. And in this case, we're going to edit in .local and see what's inside. At the top, we have the jail name, so it'll show as env file wherever. So if I were to run Fail2Ban client status, I'd see that one of those jails that I have active is the env file jail. It's enabled. The backend is set to auto. What is that? Well, by default on the system, backend would be systemd, as in it's watching the systemd journal. But I want to watch var log nginx access.log, as over here on this line it says log path equals this. So if that's what I want to do, I have to change my backend to something else, not systemd. So it's going to be auto, which we'll try. There's an order if you read the man pages or one of those configuration files, it'll say in what order it tries things. Backend of auto works here. Use DNS. We have IP addresses in these access logs, so I'm not trying to resolve a name. I can just set this to no. My filter, this is where we're going to make use of that env file filter. So it's just filter equals env file. We talked about the log path. Max retry, like what's acceptable here? Max retry, I'm setting this to 1. I have no tolerance for someone trying to read the contents of .env. So if I see this at all in the logs, I'm going to immediately ban for 3 hours. And then down below that, you're going to get a little look at this incremental banning. So ban time.increment is set to true by a factor of 1. If you were to increase that factor to say 2, then that'd be like saying a ban time of 6 hours instead of 3 hours. And they're the multipliers. So at first, 1 would be like the 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, and it goes up and up and up. Now this is an interesting setting here below that. So yeah, going back to this for a second, this incremental banning. So it starts out low, like 3 hours, and the more violations, like the more you do, the more you try, it just pushes you back further, further, further. You get banned for longer and longer and longer. But if you're one of these that tried like one time, you were banned for 3 hours, you never came back to try again, you never got banned for any longer. As you can see, it goes up here. So that's what the multipliers is. This is an interesting setting I was getting ready to talk about. Ban time dot, I guess we'll say round time. This is so that it's more difficult to guess when a host is going to be unbanned, so that they can try to time it and then try again when they'll be unbanned. There's this like variable time here. It's this random amount of time, and we're saying that the random amount of time could go out as far as 6 hours. So there's like the 6 hour unknown window of when a host is going to be unbanned. So it's difficult. It's more difficult to guess. And then, so if they do try again, they might still be banned. So you see what I mean? Ban time.max time is 846 hours. I think it was 5 weeks. Not sure. Thought that it was equal to 5 weeks, but it could be, yeah. So like, and 6 hours. So that's why it says 46, because I'm saying like I want to ban for as up to a certain amount of time, but I do have that possibility of 6 hours. And so that's what this 6 is. 846, it's the 6 there. So yeah, I mean, you save this. I think I copied it in, so I probably didn't have to write it. Okay. Well, we're adding a new jail. If you were to try to do what we did before and reload this jail, I'll show you what would happen. It's not aware of this jail yet. So error, yeah, doesn't exist. So what you have to actually do, you have to reload the whole entire thing. That's okay. Now, if you want to check the status of it, there you go. Brand new. It's not showing anything banned, but next time something does try, it will be banned, and you'll see at the very bottom here in the banned IP list the IPs that are in this jail. And if I go and just run Fail2Ban client status, now we have 2 jails. So we have the env file jail and the SSHD jail. Back up here a little bit. As you can see, Fail2Ban is useful for more than just SSH authentication failures. While we covered the basics, we also did some other things, like we created that custom filter in jail, and we're monitoring a particular log file. If you still have any questions after watching this, then you can also check out the blog post that I wrote up. I was a little bit more precise with my language because I could take my time and express things exactly the way I wanted to. You can find that down in the description. If you come this far and you actually watch this whole video, thanks a lot. This is my first video, so it's probably going to be one of my worst videos. I hope you liked it. I hope it was informative. Please feel free to comment below. And if there's anything else that I can answer, I'll find you there. Thank you very much.